so can we have your name?
Richard Robinson.
And
Was then Dick Robinson.
Richard Robinson. And roughly your age?
Roughly my age is on almost 66.
66. Well, you're still looking damn good for 66. First surfboard?
Was a Kahuna.
Kahuna.
Kahuna pop-out bought from McCoy and Thomas.
Yeah.
They were at the bottom of Cameron Street, and it was, I think, about 25 pounds.
They were pretty good boards, eh?
Oh yeah. But it was just a pop-out, no stringer.
Yeah, yeah.
And light.
Yeah.
It only weighed about 18 pounds instead of the normal 25.
That's pretty good, eh?
Yeah.
So where did you start surfing?
Started surfing at the Waipu Cove.
Yeah. And what age were you?
Oh, gee. Okay. It was Christmas of 62.
62. That's very. So you would have been a pretty young fella then.
Yeah. I'd have been, might have been 17, might have been 16. I don't know, something like that.
Why did you start surfing?
Well, why did I start surfing? Okay, it goes like this. I was sitting on the beach one day in my stovepipe pants with my black greasy hair and my wrinkle picker shoes with chains on the side. And I was getting around with a bikie gang called the Road Knights. And I was just in the process of going to go in and I'd work at the first oil refinery.
Yep.
And I was going to go in and buy myself a motorbike. I'd saved up £500 for a brand new Matchless 500.
Yeah. I wish if you should had it today, it'd be worth a fortune, wouldn't it?
And it was black and chrome, and I was sitting on the beach, and we were a bit either drunk or very hungover. And a guy walked past me with a surfboard by the name of Bill Pritchard.
Yeah.
And he, you know, he went out and caught a couple of little waves and stuff like that. And so when he came in, I sort of said, well, you know, give us a go. But I probably said it in a bit harsher form. And so he gave me his board, so I just kicked off my shoes, still in my black stovepipe pants, and paddled out.
Yeah.
And just into the white water and stuff like that, and mucked around. I thought, oh, it was a bit of fun.
Yeah.
So I didn't buy a board the next day. I went down and bought a Kahuna.
Yeah.
And
so that's where your surfing sort of started.
Yep.
Did you know much about surfing before that?
Nope.
Might have seen a little bit of it in the movies, but
Nope.
that's about all, right?
No,
Nothing.
there was nothing even at the movies. And
Yeah.
it wasn't even a surf movie.
Yeah.
Endless Summer hadn't come out.
Yeah.
It wasn't a surf movie. There was a couple of early movies, but I didn't see them.
Yeah.
And there was probably just the Edge Boys, Tui, one of the Fraserhursts.
Yeah. Chris. Yeah.
And maybe the Coonies.
Yeah.
That would have been it.
Yeah. I know a few of the clubbies out there were
Yeah.
on to surf, so a few of the lifesavers and that sort of how it got going. Tarahi Surf Club. You were a member of that, I take it?
Mm-hmm. Founding member. I was there when they hassled over names and all that sort of thing.
Yeah. So, and that was that, I think of his name. Anyway, yeah. And you probably attended that first meeting at the A&P Hall.
Yep, yes, I was there.
A big turnout for that.
Yeah,
Well, it was
yeah,
a
it
big
was,
turnout
yeah,
for a club just
yeah.
starting. Yeah. Any funny stories about that you can remember about the club or the early? What's the stupidest thing you've seen with some of those boys? Because they were pretty, well, they were a good lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We used to have some pretty good parties.
Very good parties.
Yeah, and fairly, me and Jeff Smith were into breaking a lot of glass then. And we used to have these imitation fights.
Yeah.
Where I would smash a bottle, and he'd smash a bottle, and we'd stand off and really, really abuse each other, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we'd put the bottles out and carry on.
Watch the reception around you. Yeah. So in the early days, you have a wetsuit, rugby jersey, or what you
No,
wear?
I never had a wetsuit for years actually.
So you just surf through winter with whatever.
Yeah, we even had snow when they had snow when down in Auckland. We surfed.
Yeah.
On the cove.
Out Piha or at the cove.
Yeah, mostly I just surfed because I left my board at the cove mostly, and I surfed there.
Yeah.
Went out there every weekend for
Yeah.
a couple of years.
Yeah. Brilliant. Best surfboard you've ever had? What's your favourite surfboard? The one you've got now, or have you, be like me, you've had a surfboard and you've probably regretted ever selling it, but you do things like that?
No, I actually kept going back to my Kahuna in the longboard days, but because it was easy.
Yeah.
to manoeuvre, you know.
Yeah.
And I think went as good as anything.
Yeah.
That was the longboard days. Then, best surfboard I had, when I went to England, I think I had a little pintail, and that went really, really well. Quite, it was a
Was
little
that
bit thicker in the back. But
Was that board's getting shorter then?
yeah, it was about 7 foot, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I know you're a very, very good surfer because I've seen you surf, but if you had one of those days where the surf's been fantastic and you sort of think, well, that was my best ride, have you ever had one of those days where the surf's been brilliant and you know, you just know you've surfed really good and usually stands out? Can you remember one of those days? Where was it and when roughly?
Oh, well, I've had lots of them.
Yeah.
Okay. The one that really comes to mind, and it's probably in the Tarihi thing, and the Tarihi mags, was that the day that they changed to dollars and cents.
Yep, 67.
Yeah, I took the day off to celebrate.
Yeah.
And went out to the cove, and I had it from the point across to the clubhouse, and I was the only person there. It was about 5 foot.
Yeah.
And it was just perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect. And I just had wave after wave after wave, got out, went back in again, just all day.
And not many people out by the sound.
And there was no one there.
No one there.
No, not a soul. And it was just fantastic. So that's always stuck in my mind. I've had other pretty good surfs too.
Have any surf heroes in those early days? Anyone you looked up to?
I suppose really everyone, I think, sort of thought pretty much of Tui.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and of course everyone else was just in magazines, you know.
Yeah,
You know, Butch Van Arnstein or whoever those guys were, you know, Greg Knoll,
Yeah.
that big wave sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Nicky Dora was, you know, he was the nose man. I surfed with Nicky Dora in France.
You surfed with them in France?
Yeah.
When was that?
68, 69, 68 or 69.
And was he as good as what?
Oh yeah,
Just-
he was good.
Yeah,
very,
very
very classic.
Yeah, yeah. What was your first car that you took out surfing? And I think we've just found it on the wall.
Volkswagen. I bought a Volkswagen.
Yeah.
I rolled it actually with 3 boards on top.
Was that a German assembled one with that bumper thing? Or do you?
I think that one. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, mine was the first of the big windows.
Oh yeah, yeah,
At the back.
yeah. I should know when that was because they did. My grandmother had one and they had the small window. 54. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. Okay. So the Volkswagen? What'd you go to after that?
Then I went to my feet. I went travelling.
Yeah, yeah.
After I rolled the car, I then went travelling. You know, went overseas.
Yeah. And you surfed overseas a fair bit?
So
France?
that was what I went there for.
Yeah, yeah.
I went to England. I went from here to. I had a sister in Perth, so I didn't stop in Sydney. I went straight to Perth.
Yeah.
Surfed down south around Margaret and just up from there. What do they call it? I've forgotten now.
Yeah. Well, I know. Can't think of the names. Yeah.
And the first surf I had in Aussie was right smack in the middle of Fremantle. It's all gone now.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all a big harbour now, but there was a good little break in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surf accidents? Any bad accidents or anything that you think, well, why am I doing this? Or you've been one of the lucky ones?
I've been one of the lucky ones. I've had a few hold downs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a few hold downs. Would probably be the things I've. Yeah, haven't really had any big cuts.
Nothing bad, right?
No gravel rash or reef rash or.
Favourite New Zealand surf trip? You've been on many trips around New Zealand or more, not so much?
Favourite New Zealand? Oh, Mahia. Mahia in the early days. Gisborne in the early days.
Not many people surfing at Mahi in those days. Now it's getting crowded, isn't it?
Yeah, it's getting very crowded, yeah.
So what, you just take off with a few mates and yeah.
And there was 3 of us. We used to troop off all around Northland, just to go to places, just to be the first to surf there.
Yeah, yeah.
And which we were at most of the places.
Yeah, hunting for that. Yeah, I remember finding Carey Mountain for the first time.
Yeah.
We thought it was fantastic.
Yeah,
we called it Spot X. Probably hundreds of people knew about it, but that's the sort of thing you did, didn't it? What have we got here? Favourite beach break? I know you're still surfing, or
Yep.
where do you go most of the time, Nick?
Where do I go now? I go to the handiest beach that I can.
Yep, and where's that?
It used to be OB,
Yep,
or else over the hill from OB
yep,
at the pole, or what they call Proctors now or something.
yep,
Partow when it was working properly.
yep,
I don't know, anywhere where the waves are good.
Yeah.
Like I had a great surf at Paradise the other day.
yep, yep.
And
That's Dave.
yeah,
Dave's
yeah.
favourite bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funniest thing, you must have come across a funny story. You've been out surfing on the way, surfing, something really stupid that sticks out, or is there nothing? There's got to be a few of those. You've got
Yeah.
egged, or you.
Oh, everyone was always egging.
Yeah.
There was always egging and flowering going on. That was pretty regular.
Yeah.
In fact, we used to pee in the guys' petrol tanks when you've been just
Slow the car up a bit. Or
slow
something.
the car up a little bit. That was always a party thing, people were going somewhere or so and so you go and pee in their petrol tank, And
Now, I know you've got a few. How many kids have you got that surf? Or
oh, there's only Michael that really
Michael,
surfs.
and he's a very good
Well,
surfer.
one of the favourite things Jeff Smith and I used to do was we used to go and get a bit of newspaper and crap in it,
Yeah.
and then go to someone's door at about midnight
And
and knock on the door and then light the paper and watch them come out and stamp it.
Oh dear. Now tell us about your son that surfs. I have seen both of you
Yeah.
surfing, and I know you're very good. But did he just started surfing because you surfed, or?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
We got him out on a boogie board and just to sort of get him used to, getting knocked around.
Yeah.
And then he just started surfing with me. I was happened to be living at Langs Beach at the time,
Yep. Yep.
right up from Ding Bay, which is supposed to be named after me.
Yep.
From there, he's just progressed. He's
Yeah.
now an Aussie,
Yep.
living in Sydney for a while.
What sort of board does he ride at the moment?
I wouldn't have a clue at the
A
moment.
short board or a
Oh,
long
he
board?
knows a short board.
Short board.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And what sort of what board are you riding at the moment?
Well, I'm now on a goat boat, unfortunately,
Yeah,
because I didn't break my shoulder, I dislocated my shoulder a few years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
So stand-up paddleboard is not much good either for you, probably.
I probably could. I could even go back to surfing, but,
Yeah.
I'd quite like to, but I'm just out of condition,
Yeah, yeah,
and so I don't want to miss out. I got some great waves last Saturday, at Uratiti, just all to myself, just awesome.
It was good surf last weekend.
Yeah.
You must have a couple more funny stories in there. Come on, what do you guys get up to? Did you go to that party at Underahi at the old hall round by the aerodrome, the Tardy Surf Club? And I know they had some of the old boys.
Yeah,
thing too.
see, I left New Zealand in
you might have
'68.
been. Yeah, yeah,
So I went surfing over in Europe by myself
yeah.
for a few years.
So where did you surf in Europe?
My first surf was at Bournemouth.
Yep.
Then
What sort of wave did they have there then?
just wind chop
Wind
rush.
chop,
There
yeah.
was no one else there.
Yeah,
The place was lined looking at people. "Ooh."
yeah, yeah.
I surfed there. Then I caught a boat across to Bilbao in Spain.
Yeah.
In Spain.
Bit of surf there?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
lots and
yeah.
lots of surf in Spain. Not a soul on the beach, no one anywhere.
Yeah.
I met an English guy that had a surfboard, and so I hung with him and his girlfriend, and I used to sleep under their car while they slept in it.
Yeah.
And he couldn't surf at all. In fact, I
Yeah.
never even saw him stand up on a thing.
Yeah. But he had one. Or
Yeah, he had one and thought he was going to go surfing. So I surfed all along the north coast of Spain.
Yeah.
And then all the way back again, surfed in that big place just outside of Bilbao. I don't even know half the names. Surfed in Santander,
Yeah.
Laredo.
They're probably real tourist towns now, but they probably
Yeah.
were just starting in those days, and
Yeah.
now it'd be all the palms go there, don't they?
Yeah. Well, there was no Spanish surfers
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
In fact, I never saw another surfer the whole time, apart from this English guy that was with
Yeah.
me, and he never went out.
Yeah.
And one of the funny things was, I was in a place that was a little bit like Partow, the river mouth coming out, and the Spaniards are a little bit nuts,
Yeah.
And somebody fell into the river and was getting swept out by the current.
Yeah.
So I paddled out on the surfboard, got them, brought them back. But by then, 3 other Spaniards had jumped in to save the person. And there was just this line of people jumping into the water to save somebody.
Yeah, yeah.
Just
So that kept you busy for a while, and the rest get
in
out.
the end,
with
I
it.
just gave up and I said, "You guys want to jump in? Go right ahead.
Yeah.
I'm leaving." You know, they were just idiots because they get this big emotional thing going, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And I probably I'd have pulled 8 people out of the water,
Yeah, yeah.
and they were still jumping in, you know.
Yeah.
Left.
Yeah, that's cool. Even now, though, you know, a few years ago at Matapuri, a guy was in trouble, and the guy that went out to help them was the guy that actually drowned.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's so sad when you hear that. That's brilliant.
Anyway, I surfed all through France. Well,
Yep.
not all through France. Surfed in Biarritz.
Yep.
I was in Biarritz in 1968.
Yep.
It must have been 68. Yeah.
Yeah,
There were no French surfers.
no French surfers.
The only surfers that were there was Nat Young, Paul Witzig,
Yeah,
I think, and 2 other guys. And Labar was working there. And I used to, wherever they went, I would sort of not be
Yeah.
far behind.
so you surf with those guys?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
I surfed in Labar and Guitry,
yeah.
La Fontaine,
Yeah.
St Jean de Luz, Grand Plage.
I'm
All those
amazed you
places.
can remember all these names, mate. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with your memory.
And had some great surf there.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, had some great surf there.
Now, were you one of these guys that a lot of us at this age would all go into town on a Friday night and we'd all hang out together on the street and find out where the parties? Were you with that? There was
I sort of was, but
Yeah.
I was.
you lived out of town a bit, probably, did you? Or?
No, I lived in here in Shorten
Oh,
Street.
yeah.
And see, I missed out when the whole bunch of those guys were there because I was away for a few years.
Yeah, yeah,
And when I came back, the whole sort of scene was quite different, you know.
yeah,
When I left, there were no drugs, just drinking.
yeah,
When I came back, everyone was into the drugs and stuff like that.
yeah, yeah. I think what I sort of noticed just talking to a few people was that the older guys running the club,
Yeah.
they
Edge boys.
got married or had kids, and
Yeah.
they sort of left the club, and the young ones took over, and that's probably why the club fell over in hindsight, that there wasn't the older, more
Stability.
mature person running it, and
Yeah.
it went down, which is a pity, but those things do. But
Yeah, that's right.
it was a pretty good club, and we certainly had a lot of fun, eh?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
no, we did. We had some good parties, no
Yeah.
doubt about that.
Yeah.
I never really competed. I was never. I entered a few things, but my heart really wasn't in it.
Yeah, yeah,
Me and a fella, Tony Scott, used to go to some way out places to go surfing.
Yeah.
You know, we surfed across the north coast of New Zealand.
yeah,
One of the great breaks that is unknown is Taputaputa.
yeah. I
And
camped there for many years and
Yeah.
had a good surf, so
Ah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
a neat break, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
yeah,
If you can get the left-hander breaking off the point,
yeah,
it's insane when it's big.
yeah.
And I quite used to like biggish surf. I'm not so keen now.
Yeah.
Um,
Your Hendersons and that can get pretty
Yeah, yeah,
good up
yeah,
there. Yeah.
The Henderson's is a pretty good
And a
wave.
powerful, it's a bit like a west coast wave on the east coast, sort of,
Yeah,
that's how
yeah,
I explain it.
yeah.
I don't, did you find that or?
Yep, yeah,
Yeah.
Henderson's is a very, very good
Yeah.
gutty wave here.
Yeah.
I quite liked it. We used to surf Okeanga River Mount,
Yeah.
Okeanga Harbour River Mount,
Yeah.
Harbour Mount.
Was that, did you have leg ropes then?
No.
No leg ropes, yeah.
No leg
yeah,
ropes.
Yeah.
I remember when leg ropes came in, you know, I thought everyone thought they were going to get their legs torn off if they
Yeah.
didn't sort of, but, you know, they didn't.
Yeah.
We just had a hole drilled in the fin or something like that with a bit of rubber and a bit of rope and a bit of
Yeah.
rubber at the other end.
Handmade stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So after your kahuna board, what was your next board? Can you remember what
I
you
got a Peter Byers, I think. Nose block, tail block, 1-inch stringer.
was that a custom one or did
Yeah,
you
yeah,
just
yeah.
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 And what
And
you
then
get?
I got an Atlas Woods after that.
Yeah.
Um,
Because in the early days, you could hardly buy a surfboard in a shop. It was very hard. And it
Yeah,
wasn't a sport
yeah.
shop, wasn't
No,
it? It was
no,
a hardware
no.
shop, which
Yeah.
is crazy.
the only people that had them here was either Wiseman's or else McCoy and Thomas.
Yeah.
They had the odd pop out, which is where the Kahuna came from.
I think Trevor King wishes he'd kept his kahuna.
Yeah.
Oh, you too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, mine actually in the end felt a bit.
Tell the bits, yeah.
I just, peeled the glass off and broken half a couple of times.
Yeah. That's, I can't think of too many more questions to ask you. Anything else that you can stand out that you think about? We'll probably think about it after, but
Well, you know, we just surfed all over Northland. I mean, Wananaki, first person to ever surf there,
Yep.
and this is the 100% truth, would be a fella called Ward, and his friend Bob Douglas. They were also the first to surf Patau.
yeah,
And they were coming to me and saying, Richard, you've got to come out and have a look, got to come out and have a look. So out of them, they weren't gun-ho surfers, you know,
Yeah.
neither was I a gun-ho surfer, but I mean, you know, anyway. But, so we went out to, you know, Wananaki,
yeah,
and to Patau, and surfed all those places. We surfed Takau, the Kerikeri Peninsula,
yeah,
Putapura, we walked our boards down to Twilight Bay.
Twilight, yeah, yeah.
Um,
That can be a lovely little wave down
Oh,
there
yeah,
too, eh?
yeah,
But
too
it
right.
can be huge as well.
Yeah,
but
too
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
surfed all over the place,
Yeah.
just all over the place, you know, just everywhere where we thought that there were waves to be had, we would go there. And like you say, you know, Carry Mountain, Ocean Beach, we surfed at Ocean Beach, no one ever surfed Ocean
Yeah,
Beach.
yeah. I
You know?
wish there was video cameras, mate, and some of that. Kind of
Yeah, I reckon.
It would be
Oh,
a fortune,
yeah. And there was four of us, well, three of us, then there was four. CeeLo was the fourth.
Yeah,
Before that it was Brian King and myself and Greg.
yeah,
And we would just go away and just go off and find somewhere.
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Everyone else had their local breaks, like, you know, the Blondefield boys and those sort of guys all had Sandy Bay.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, we were all in little groups,
Yeah,
weren't we? And
yeah.
we all knew each other, but we all went and did our. And there
Yeah.
wasn't too much rivalry or fighting, but it was a pretty neat time. I
Oh
thought
yeah, it was. It
special,
was
yeah.
easy, you know.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
really, really easy.
I can't believe, and I probably shouldn't be talking too much, but I was only 16 and my parents let me go with my friends right around the North Island.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think a parent nowadays would ever
No.
let their kids.
No, that's right. Well, kids probably go anyway these
We
days.
went for 3 weeks, but
Yeah.
my mum didn't think anything about it,
No.
you know. But that's how, it's a different era, eh? It's
Yeah,
hard to
yeah.
explain what it was, yeah.
Yeah, no, you know, we surfed Taupo Bay. I remember they had a big earthquake over in Chile, and Taupo Bay was off its nut.
Yeah, yeah,
And it was probably about 7 feet, glassy,
yeah,
and just rolling in non-stop,
yeah,
you know.
yeah,
It was just awesome.
yeah.
And we used to do, you know, we used to do all sorts of wacko things. We used to
Yeah.
climb up the Taupo Bay Hill. There were a couple of great big rocks up there, and I mean great big rocks.
And try
We-
and roll them.
Well, we did ease a few off the cliff
Yeah, yeah,
that are now on the beach, I'm sure.
yeah.
And of course, but now you're not allowed to go up there. So
No, yeah,
we just did all sorts of stuff.
yeah,
Surfed, you know, North Africa.
yeah,
Yeah, just surfed all over the place,
yeah,
really.
yeah,
Surfed Jersey Islands.
yeah,
There was just no one there, just
Yeah.
no one,
yeah,
not a soul. Marvellous.
yeah. Great one.
And I still surf quite a bit by myself.
Yeah, yeah,
Surf
yeah,
JPs.
yeah.
Like I say, you were Titty the other day.
No one out? I thought
Oh, there was one guy further down the beach on a right-hander.
Well, they're all at the race course or more end or.
No, this is it. You were Titty
Yeah,
at the old
yeah.
dump road.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And it was just a barreling right for about
Yeah.
3/4 of an hour.
yeah.
Some of the best barrels I've had for a couple of years.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see you still out there enjoying it. Thanks, Richard.
That's all right.
That's
Pleasure.
absolutely brilliant. It's
Well, Mike Cooney and I were the first to surf the power station when the power station was the power station.
when
When
the
it was
ramp,
being built.
the ramp thing was there.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
when the-
brilliant, eh?
When the wharf was there, the little jetty with the plank,
Yeah,
we used to shoot the pier. There was a big A-frame. Pete came in there. Him and I were the first to surf that. Then CeeLo turned up. That's where I met Colin.
yeah,
And then about a year later, when they were putting the pipes out, there was this. As they got further out to sea, they were dredging the sand and putting it on the side.
yeah,
There was a right-hander breaking it almost to the buoy. You know the yellow buoy that's out there?
yeah, yeah,
There was a right-hander. As they progressed out there, this right-hander just used to just whoosh, you know, man, it was brilliant. And it used to just jack the waves up, you know, it was just awesome. And we were there one day when the pier, the surf got so big that it just peeled the planking off it.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So I had some photographs of that somewhere,
yeah.
but I think Mike might have them by now.
I've always thought that would, if you wanted to put a surf break in, an artificial one, that would be the place, because
Yeah, I
that
reckon.
pier, it wasn't much of it. There was,
No.
it wasn't much, but man, it did work. Didn't
Oh
it?
yeah, you're right. You know,
Amazing.
we've often talked about getting a whole couple of truckloads of tyres and just hooking them together with chains and
Yeah.
laying them out along the beach,
Yeah.
and then
yeah.
just pulling the middle out.
Yeah.
You know. Be great.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very, very much.